competitor. She has been a consistent part of this Broncos lineup her entire career. Although she's consistent on every single event, Coach Jernigan says her event is floor. So when she's on the floor exercise, keep your eyes out and keep your ears peeled for that music, as the music is inspired by her gymnastics career.
Ball State and Western Michigan about to get it going here at University Arena. Rotation number 1 coming up next on ESPN.
You know, I wasn't even sure I wanted to go to college before I visited Western. I got into the immersive cold case program as a student investigator helping to solve real homicide cases with the Michigan State Police. We solved 2 cases, and now I have my sights set on a career in law enforcement, with the goal of helping to rebuild community trust in our criminal justice system. I came to Western, found my purpose, graduated, ready-made.
Welcome back into University Arena. Kenny Scherlinger, Abby Larson, along with our tremendous Bronco Productions crew here for MAC College Gymnastics on ESPN. Ball State and Western Michigan about to get this one going. Rotation number 1 will have Western Michigan starting on the vaults. Ball State starting on the bars. Abby, 2 very strong events for both these squads.
Yeah, for sure. They're definitely going to be able to get the ball rolling on these top events for these teams. Get the momentum in the right direction, set the tone for the rest of the meet and the rest of the events.
Western Michigan ranked 2nd in the MAC behind Ball State in the vaults, averaging 49.046. And Ball State 1st in the MAC on the bars, 13th in the country, 49.233 for them. They have a lot of standouts on the bars, and it should be very exciting here between the Broncos and the Cardinals all day, but we're going to get it started really from the get-go here.
Western starting to warm up on the vault. Each team gets a 2-minute touch period to get back warmed up on each event. They'll do a couple timers, couple vaults, just get warmed back up before they have their time to go on the event.
So last year, both these teams were atop of the MAC in the regular season. They split the MAC regular season championship, 2023 co-champions between the two. Western Michigan won the only meet between the two down in Muncie. It was a close one. It came down to the last rotation, as head coach Penny Jernigan spoke about with us, how it really came down to Peyton Murphy's floor routine last year in Muncie, and both these teams moved on to the NCAA tournament. It's only the 2nd time in program history for Ball State, but a historic season for both these squads last year, and it looks like it's going to shape up to be another really good one for both these two here halfway through the NCAA season.
Yeah, for sure. Again, like I said, they both are trending upwards in the right direction. They've only gotten better from their first meet, and that's what the regular season's all about. You have to fix those minor details, fix those stuck landings, get more consistent to lead up to that NCAA tournament.
Both these teams returning a lot from both the squads last year.
Lots of senior talent, great leaders on these teams. It's what has allowed these teams to reach new heights this season.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups here for the visitors from Muncie, Indiana. First on the bars, Ball State's Grace Sumner, Zoe Middleton, an all-arounder, sophomore, tremendous gymnast for Ball State. Hannah Ruthberg, another all-arounder, someone who has a lot of experience as a senior. Victoria Henry as well. Ashley Szymanski and Megan Teeter, who we spoke about in the Open as one of the top gymnasts in the MAC and another leader for this Ball State Cardinal team.
Yeah, definitely highlighted by that final routine there with Megan Teeter. Like we said, she is part of that 10.0 club. She got a perfect 10 earlier this season on the uneven bars, so definitely keep your eyes out for her. But this bars lineup is so talented. They have amazing release moves. They have been sticking those dismounts, so it'll be really fun to watch them today.
For Western Michigan, they'll start out on the vaults here at home. Let's take a look at the lineup for the Broncos as head coach Penny Jernigan spoke about how she has been pleased with how her team has performed on the vault this year. Hannah Milton, the freshman, they like her in the leadoff position. Abby Singh, one of the twins for this Broncos squad. Peyton Murphy, who we spoke about, all around her tremendous athletes for Western Michigan. Cassie St. Clair has a very intense and very fun to watch vault. Sarah Moravansky, who's back with the Broncos after missing their last meet last week. And Hallie Faulkner, the junior, will round out the lineup for the Western Michigan Broncos on the vault.
Yeah, another stacked lineup right here. You'll see a lot of your Chenko fulls, which will start from that 995 start value. The lineup is highlighted, though, by Cassie St. Clair's cause. It is a soup with a 1.5 twist. I did see her stick one in warm-up, so to see what she got here for us today on vault.
Both these teams only a couple seconds away to getting this one started. Ball State and Western Michigan, two of the top in the MAC. Here at the halfway point of the season. Should be an exciting one here from Kalamazoo. So sit back, relax here in this late afternoon matchup between Western Michigan and Ball State. We see head coach Penny Jernigan in her 11th season for the Broncos, has led the Broncos to 3 straight NCAA tournament appearances last year in the regional in Pittsburgh and the 2023 MAC regular season champs. And on the other side for Ball State and the Cardinals, we'll get this one started here on the vaults. As Hannah Milton gets us started.
Gearing up here, she has a Yurchenko full, just a slight hop back, slight shuffle back with those feet. Overall, great body position in the air. She really spotted that landing. Good start for the Broncos.
And Penny Jernigan talked about how she's a natural leadoff in that spot, and they'll have her for a couple more years as a freshman, Hannah Milton.
Pretty awesome that she's leading off as a freshman. That's a really intense spot to be in. Like we said earlier, it really sets the tone for the rest of the meet. So being in the leadoff position as a freshman on vault, Coach Jernigan must have a lot of faith and trust in her.
So now let's take a look at the head coach of Ball State. As you see, Jonah Salim in her 11th season at the helm at Muncie, Indiana, led her team to their second ever appearance in the NCAA tournament, first time since 1999, and of course, the 2023 MAC regular season co-champs with Western Michigan. Now we head to the bars here with Ball State. Grace Subner gets us started for the Cardinals.
Starting it out there, she had a shaposh into a pack salto down to the low bar. Beautiful handstand right there, really fought for that. Toe hand into a blind full and a double tuck. Slight hop back on that landing. Good start.
One of the two Cardinals who are on the MAC Gymnast to watch here in 2024, Grace Subner. She wraps up her bar routine, and we head back to the vault. Abby Singh, averaging at 9.837 with a season high 9.850.
Abby does a half right there. I saw her stick that in warm-up. She just had a little step right there. That will be a deduction, but that is a 10.0 start value vault right there. Yurchenko half. She gets that 10.0 start value from that blind landing. It's much more difficult to land than a full. Really have to have great body awareness and air awareness to find that landing every time, but she does a great job. Coach Jernigan said she is capable of a 1.5 vault, but she's been competing to half just because it's a little bit more consistent on that landing. Looks really good to me.
So we head back to the bars. A strong event for the Cardinals in sophomore Zoe Middleton, the all-arounder. The second one up here for Ball State. Season high at 10-0 down in the Tennessee Collegiate. And they had 3 10s in that meet back in January.
It's fantastic. Definitely earned that 10.0 on this bar routine right here. They'll start it out with a shaposh, which is a toe hecht up to the high bar. Beautiful right there. Back down to the low bar for a shoot over to handstand. All she has is that dismount left. She'll do a blind full into a double tuck. Beautifully hit handstand right there. Just a slight shuffle of those feet right there. Beautiful routine, though, from Zoe.
That's going to bring us back over to the vault, and Peyton Murphy, the all-arounder here for Western Michigan. Average of a 9.812 this year. Here she goes.
Another one of those Yurchenko folds. A little bit too much power there, which is a good sign. You do not want to be landing short. She over-rotated that just a little bit. Had to take that big hop back. But Peyton is beautiful in the air. Perfect body position. Gets a great block off of that table to allow her to spot that landing. Just had a little bit too much oomph in that vault today.
So, Abby, let's take a look at the points of emphasis for the judging criteria here. First on the bars with Ball State.
Yeah, for sure. The key of the uneven bars are those handstands. Judges are really picky. They want to see those handstands perfectly vertical. No movement between those angles there. Obviously, those releases, you have to have a release to get that 10.0 start value. That's where you release from the bar and you re-grab the bar. And then the dismounts, you want to see those stuck landings. That's honestly what's going to be the difference between these teams today, are those stuck landings.
This is Hannah Ruthberg, who was a competitor in the second round of NCAAs last year in Norman, Oklahoma on the bars, and averaging a 9.817 here this year on the bars, the top event for the Cardinals.
Started it out with a ray there. She was a little bit close to the bar, so she had to bend her arms to re-grab that bar. You want to be perfect distance away from the bar to keep your arms straight, but also allow you to re-grab it. Beautiful full twisting double back dismount. Look of surprise there a little bit, as she did miss her toe a little bit on that toe hecht up back to the high bar. But she made it work. That's what gymnastics is all about, is even if you mess up, you kind of have to fake it till you make it.
So we go back to the vault, and Cassie St. Clair, who we've highlighted a lot in the vault.
This is amazing right here. A cause, a 1.5. Fought for that landing again. Saw her stick that in warm-up. She wanted that so bad. Amazing vault, though. That is a very difficult vault to do. She earned that 10.0 start value for sure.
So the vault, Abby, let's take a look at the points of emphasis in that apparatus.
Yeah, like I just said, the start value, that's going to be a big difference between a lot of these teams, is do you have those 10.0 start value vaults? Those are going to be the more difficult vaults to stick, but you do get that extra 0.05 on your score when the judges are deducting from that. Execution, just, how the gymnast performs the vault. Do they have pointed toes? Do they have straight legs? Are their legs together? And then obviously the landing. You want to stick those landings. Again, the tenths matter in this type of meet, so sticking those landings are super important.
And you saw Cassie St. Clair really kind of toeing the line there, Abby. What are you looking at there when that happens?
Yeah, those lines are there kind of just for a guide on the judges. You can step out of the line, but as long as you land with both of your feet in the lines, it's not a deduction. Obviously, they take deduction for the step, but there's no extra deduction if you land within those two lines.
So we go back to the bars here at Ball State. Victoria Henry, who had her season and career high 9.925 and down in Tennessee back in January.
Victoria has a beautiful shapash. A lot of these Ball State gymnasts have very similar routines. They start with this shapash or Maloney back up to the high bar. That is their release move. Saw that right there. Pack salto down to the low bar. She'll turn it on around, gearing up for her dismount. She'll end it with a toe blind into a double front. Looks like she was just a little bit under-rotated there. She didn't get her body fully over the bar. Unfortunately, had to come off of the bar. That is 0.5 of a deduction. Every time you come off of the apparatus, a fall is 0.5 of a deduction. So she will go chalk up once again, clear her mind, and she'll have to finish the rest of this routine.
To take a look there, 13th in the country, Ball State's in the NCAA, first in the MAC, of course, and probably not the start they exactly wanted to see if you're Ball State and head coach Celine, but still a lot more to go here.
Lots more to go. That's why there's double front dismount. That was beautiful. Good way to end that routine. coming back from that fall. That's what teammates are for in gymnastics, though. If you have a fall, your teammates behind you in the lineup are there to cover up your fall. You get to drop one score, so that is ultimately the score they are hoping to drop if they can get a couple more hits throughout this lineup.
So here's Sarah Moravanski after missing last week with a neck injury. She's on the vaults.
And a beautifully stuck Yurchenko fall. That was absolutely flawless. Great execution, great body position in the air. Really saw that landing. She kind of had that flare out. She was so high off of the table. She was able to flare it out, spot that landing a little bit extra, and glued those feet to the ground.
So it doesn't look like she missed a step. There, the Broncos 23rd in the country, second in the MAC. Sarah Moravanski, after missing her first meet of her career, comes back with a great vault there to start it off.
Beautiful, beautiful vault. Great start to her meet as she is coming back. It's definitely a confidence booster. It'll roll over to the next couple events as well.
So that takes us back to the bars and Ashley Szymanski. 892 here average on the bars in their top event this year. Ball State looking for a good performance here and a little bit of a bounce back.
For sure. These next two routines are super, super important. She'll do a blind full into a ginger, huge ginger, right into a shoot over back down to the low bar. Getting that connection bonus there for connecting her release into that next release. Ending it with a blind full double tuck and a stuck landing. Super excited there. What a comeback for Ball State on the bars. That's exactly what they needed to keep the ball rolling in the right direction at this meet.
That turns us back to the vaults and the final gymnast here for Western Michigan, Hallie Faulkner.
She was fighting for these landings here in warm-up. Let's see what she's got here. Just a slight hop back. Still a beautiful vault, over-rotated just a little bit. Had to take that slight shuffle back. But overall, great rotation for the Broncos.
So that's going to wrap up Western's performance on the vault. You see their season average 4.9046. Season high 4.9175. And just looking at some of the scores coming in, Sarah Moravanski gets a 9-9 to get it started for Western Michigan on the vault. Like one more coming here on the bars for Ball State. Megan Teeter gets set to go on the bars. She was one to get a 10 down in Tennessee in January, and we'll round it out here for Ball State on this apparatus.
This routine is must-see TV. She is amazing on the uneven bars. Started out blind full into a huge Tkachev, straight into a shoot over. Absolutely flawless right there. She'll finish it with her dismount here. Double front with the half out. Great routine. Again, a great cover up to that fall from Victoria Henry. Ball State will not have to count a fall in that rotation, which is huge to keep them in this meet.
Take a look at the bars average for Ball State, 4.9234. Even high of 4.9775, and some exhibitions here for both these squads. Danny Petrusek. Her average is a 9.717. And she was in the lineup last week against Northern Illinois in their tri-meet, in for the injured Sarah Moravanski. She has a good vault there.
Super important to get some of these exhibition routines, especially at home. Exhibition routines are kind of used as a test to see how you do under pressure, how you do in front of a crowd. See if potentially, if someone gets hurt, if you are capable of performing at that level, if you're thrown into the lineup last second. So these exhibition routines are really important, especially at this point in the season when injuries are coming about. It's a long season for gymnastics and takes a toll on your body. So If someone gets hurt, you have to be ready to step up and take their place.
This is Mary Rose Bellin, sophomore from down south Northport, Alabama.
Beautiful shapash right there into a shoot over. Just straight body cast handstand. That takes a lot of strength. A lot of gymnasts do straddle cast handstands. Ending it with a double layout dismount. Again, important to get those routines under your belt in front of crowds, so that's super important for her to hit that routine.
One more exhibition coming up here for Ball State on the bars before we wrap it up for rotation number 1. That'll be Kaya Fala. Abby, before we get into this final exhibition, what's your opening thoughts on the first rotation, first for the vault for Western Michigan and the bars for Ball State?
Yeah, definitely both strong rotations. Again, you saw that fall from Ball State, but they were able to cover it up, get some other routines to drop that fall of a score. Broncos had a great vault rotation. They're always strong on vault, and I think they love being at home and getting to start on that event because it just sets the tone for the rest of the meet, gets them rolling in the right direction, and now they'll be excited to go over to the bars and do the same thing.
One more exhibition here for Ball State on the bars. Ibafala. Another down south native from Kennesaw, Georgia. Junior ready to go.
Both teams have beautiful leotards. I'm a very big leotard critic, and I love both of these white leotards today. Shapash right there. Looks like she just did not get enough momentum and oomph to... Maybe the bars were set wrong a little bit, it looks like. Something was definitely funky. She felt something funky when she did that shapash right there. So they're tightening the bars, and she'll chalk up, regrip up, and start that routine over, I would assume.
Yeah, it looks like they made some adjustments there.
As a gymnast, if you get on the bars and the bars aren't feeling right, it's a really weird feeling. But if you're in the competition, you can't really do much about it. So she tried her best, and she'll start this routine over again. It looks like the bars were maybe not tightened. Out for that shapash. Back into a hack salto to the low bar. Pirouette, turning around, gearing up for her dismount. Nice ending handstand. And a double layout to finish it off. Just a slight hop on that landing. That was a beautiful routine after that little mishap there with the equipment.
So that's going to do it for rotation number 1 here in Kalamazoo. We'll get you some scores and some highlights on the other side of this break. The vault over for Western Michigan, and they'll swap as Ball State finishes up on the bars. Welcome back to Kalamazoo as we take a look at downtown Kalamazoo. We're right down the street on the campus of Western Michigan University, University Arena here before Ball State and Western Michigan, number 21 in the country, Ball State's facing off with Western Michigan. We're on to rotation number 2 here, Abby. Western Michigan will head over to the bars. On the vault will be Ball State. And we'll get it started here with Danny Petrusek. The average is a 9.746 here for Western Michigan. Actually, the starter from the vault here at Ball State. And Carissa Martinez.
Straight your Chaco full right there. She did stick that last meet, so she had that hop back today, a little bit too powerful on that one, but overall, good start. Great vault.
So now we'll go to the bars here with Danny Petrusek.
Danny has a beautiful Tkachev to start out this routine right here. That is her release move requirement right there. She'll do a toe hand down to a bail, shoot over to the low bar beautifully on handstand there. She has such a clean routine. Blindfold into a double pike and a stuck landing. That is exactly what the Broncos were looking for in that leadoff spot on the uneven bars.
fans liking that here at University Arena. Back to the vault. Megan Cedar, the all-arounder, getting set to go in the 2 position.
Megan does a unique vault for college gymnastics. She does a hand front pike. So you see a lot of those Yurchenkos. Megan will enter the vault from the springboard onto the vault table. She will go forwards and she will continue to flip forwards until she hits the ground for that landing. Super difficult to land forward facing vaults. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't really get a view when you're in the air, so it's really hard to spot your landing. It kind of just hits you when it hits you, so you have to have really, really good air awareness.
Megan had her season high in 9.8 down in Tennessee.
That was beautiful. I think she had a slight hop of those feet right there, but clean form in the air. Again, like I mentioned, a very, very difficult vault to stick and to land well consistently, but Megan does a great job at that.
That's going to take us back to the bars of Western Michigan. Donna Kaplan Roy, who's battling a little bit of a wrist injury, but has been battling through that on the bars, especially here, as Penny Jernigan spoke with us about how there's a couple things that bother her on the bars, but she's battled through it.
Yeah, she'll start off with that chapas. She said that doesn't bother her wrists at all. It's this shoot over right here to handstand. Beautiful. She said that's the only skill that kind of bugs her wrist just a little bit, but she pushed through today, and that was beautiful. Coach Jernigan says that she is the handstand queen. She is awesome at hitting handstands, and you saw right there. And a double layout to finish. Just a slight scooch back of those feet. Another beautiful routine for the Broncos.
The junior from South Carolina. Let's take a look real quick at the vault. Talking Tennessee, this is where they kind of shine down in Tennessee. 3 tens for Ball State. Pfister, Middleton, and Teeter. Prior to that meet, Cardinals only had 1 perfect 10 in program history, so record-setting day for them. Is they're the first team in the country to break the 198 mark as well.
That was so cool to see. It was such a fun meet to watch. They were snowballing in the right direction that day.
Well, Middleton ready to go.
Huge Yurchenko, full right there. Pretty big hop back, but she is a very powerful gymnast. She had a great block off the table there. It's a good problem to have when you take those hops and steps backwards. You don't want to be stepping forward on those backward-facing vaults. So, again, good problem to have, but definitely want to clean up those landings towards the end of the season.
Now we're back to the bars with Abby Singh.
Starts off with a huge Takacha. Absolutely humongous. Re-grabbing that bar. Down to a shoot over to handstand. Trying to emphasize that handstand for the judges. She has upgraded her dismount this year. Full twisting double layout. That is such a challenging dismount. She does it so well. Great landing there. The team loves it.
To take a look at them as a whole, 43rd in the country, 4th in the MAC. So not the strongest event for them, but a really good start so far. 3 gymnasts going out there on the bars.
Yeah, they have a lot of talented gymnasts on the bars. It's just, all about that consistency. And Coach Jernigan says they've worked and worked on handstands and dismounts and stuck landings. All just has to come together.
Suzuki Fisher.
Woo! She really wanted that landing. That's a really popular vault these days. The front pike on, half twist out. Seen a lot of 10.0s from gymnasts lately with that vault.
I'll take us back to bars here with Peyton Murphy, the all-arounder here for Western Michigan 2023 MAC Gymnast of the Year. Last season,
Peyton is just all around so much fun to watch. She is always having fun. She's always smiling, and she's so consistent. It looks really easy for her, and I promise it's not. She'll start with a cow hop there into a front giant. And a Delchev, a beautiful Delchev. It's kind of a mixture of a Ginger and a straddle Jaeger. So she releases forward, straddles those legs, re-grabs that bar. Beautiful routine so far for Peyton. She'll finish it with a blindfold, toe on, front half off, slight hop on the landing. I could tell she was paying attention to those details there. She hit all of those handstands, just had that little hop on the landing.
And we're back to the vault. Take a look at Ball State, 21st in the country, first in the MAC, and Hannah Ruthberg ready to get it going here in the 5 positions.
She's got one of those Yurchenko flows, like a lot of her teammates do. Beautiful, beautiful Yurchenko full there. Really emphasized that landing for the judges. There is a new rule in gymnastics and a new deduction that kind of got rid of the college finish and the college salute. So gymnasts do have to kind of emphasize and hold that landing if they did stick the landing in order for that judge not to take any deductions. You can't, step and salute the judge really quick and act like you stuck the landing when you're still kind of out of control a little bit.
Ruthberg, a senior and competitor in the second round of the NCAAs last year, she moved on. We're waiting here for Sarah Moravanski, who, like we mentioned early on in rotation number 1, did not participate last weekend due to a neck injury. She's back in full force after a 9-9 on the vault, and she's ready to go here in the 5-hole on the bars.
Like I mentioned earlier, there were people that the Broncos were able to put in her place that were just as good as Sarah. They showed up, they got great scores. So what's important in gymnastics is these Broncos had some depth. We'll start out here with a pike Jaeger there, down to the shoot over to low bar. Good handstand there. Just her dismount left. And a double layout. Shuffled the feet just a little bit. See if the judges noticed, but overall a great routine for Sarah in her first meet back after that injury last week.
Her season career high is a 9-9 on the bars. And here comes Victoria Henry, the all-rounder.
This is a huge vault right here. Yurchenko 1.5 twist, just a slight step back on the landing. That is a sign of under rotation there a little bit, but still she got a great block off the table, great body awareness in the air. It is super hard to stick those vaults, those blind landing vaults, especially when you're doing a 1.5 twist there. You're flipping and you're twisting all at the same time. You have to have air awareness. It's really difficult.
That wraps it up for Ball State's 1 through 6 on the vault. Go back to the bars here with Western Michigan. Brecken Close having a 9.485 this year. This season I have a 9.850.
Brecken will start with the Tkachev. Going the opposite way there. A lot of people don't like doing that because if they do fall, they're a little bit closer to that low bar. Really fought for that handstand there into a swing half. Shoot over down to the low bar. Another great handstand. She'll do a blindfold to a double tuck to finish off this routine. Step back on the landing, but a solid routine there for the anchor, Brecken on bars.
See the bars average for Western Michigan, a 4.8767. The high of a 4.9076. An exhibition here for Lindsay Gerard.
That was that same vault that you saw Suki did, but she tucked her knees. So a little bit lower of a start value, but still a difficult vault.
That's going to wrap it up for the vault. Or on the vault for Ball State with a 4.9067 with a season high of a 4.9375. We're 2 rotations for Ball State. Couple exhibitions coming up here for Western Michigan. And McKenna King, who, Abby, when we spoke to head coach Penny Jernigan, was hoping to maybe get her in the lineup. She has a big routine here on the bars and would be big for them, but she'll be competing as an exhibitionist here this afternoon.
Definitely Coach Jernigan said she's just now getting consistent enough that she thinks she deserves to be in the lineup. So this routine is really big. She has to prove to Coach that she does deserve to be in that lineup. We'll start out here with a straddled Jaeger. Huge, re-grabbing that bar. Beautiful handstands. Her toe point is absolutely gorgeous. Her legs are together. Another great handstand. She'll finish it off with a double layout. Huge double layout and a stuck landing. I don't know, Coach. If I were you, I'd keep my eyes peeled for that one.
Yeah, that might have been the best one we've seen all afternoon.
Huge routine there. Lots of skill, packed and loaded with difficulty. A huge double layout to finish off that routine. All smiles for her.
Yeah, she really likes that one. As you see head coach Benny Jernigan giving her a hug there. Happy for her.
It's really cool to see gymnasts, transfer what they do in practice to the competition floor. It's definitely not the easiest to do.
So one more exhibitionist here for Western Michigan. It's going to be the local kid here for Western Michigan, Holly Freeman from Portage, the junior who has seen some competition as well on the bars, but an exhibition spot here this afternoon. Averaging a 9.475 this year.
Molly will start out with a piked Jaeger. Line change there into a pike Jaeger, right down to the low bar for that shoot over. Do a blind full into a double tuck dismount and just a step back on the landing. Those were two pretty solid exhibition routines. Crazy how much depth this Bronco team has. They have two really solid bar routines that aren't in the lineup yet.
So that's going to wrap it up for rotation number 2 between Ball State and Western Michigan. Rotation number 3 coming up. There at University Arena, Western Michigan with a strong performance on the bars. You see Peyton Murphy really liking her performance there, and some of the students here on campus liking it as well. We'll be right back.
Especially after Ball State had that fall on bars in the first rotation, came back on vault with a strong performance and set the tone again for the rest of the competition.
Let's take a look at the highlights first for Ball State on the vaults. Rotation number 2. Got started with Martinez.
Big Yurchenko there, hop back. Lots of strong vaults there. So much power. Love that vault there from Suki. That half front on, half off. And that final vault there with that 1.5 twist, Victoria Henry.
Western Michigan on the bars, Danny Petrosek. Started.
So a lot of stuck landings from the Broncos on bars, highlighted by that one right there. That's such a difficult dismount. Peyton Murphy with that unique dismount right there. Got the Broncos hyped up for the last couple of routines. Sarah Moravansky back like she never left.
Wraps it up there for highlights. After rotation number 2, rotation number 3 on deck here in Kalamazoo. Got a tight one here at University Arena. We'll be back after this quick break.
February 24th.
We are making history.
PFL champs versus Bellator champs.
PFL is going to have their hands full.
A monumental PFL super fight on one unforgettable night. MMA empires collide. Champions versus champions. February 24th, live from Saudi Arabia.
Here at Papa John's, we know our stuff.
So try our garlic epic stuffed crust pizza, made with our iconic garlic sauce flavor, mixed with cheese and hand stuffed into our original dough. Order now and get free delivery with a minimum purchase, only at Papa John's.
It ain't good enough to be good at one thing. You gotta be willing to do it all. There's no rescue coming.
Can human skin truly be this moisturized? Oh. Yeah. Wow. CeraVe, developed with Michael Cera. We like? I need this win.
Dude, you coming? Alka-Seltzer Plus Power Max Gels Cold and Flu Relief with more concentrated power. Because the only thing dripping should be your style. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz, Winter Warriors with Alka-Seltzer Plus.
Welcome back to Kalamazoo here on the campus of Western Michigan University. Kenny Stronger, Abby Larson alongside with you for Gymnastics on ESPN Plus. Rotation number 3 about to get underway. Ball State will be on the floor. On the beam will be Western Michigan. Before we get into that, though, let's take a look at the preseason rankings here between these two in the Mid-American Conference. The coaches poll. Technical difficulties there on the graphics, but both these teams at the top of the match. 1 and 2 coming in to this meet. Ball State was picked to win the conference. Western Michigan right behind them, though. Both these teams, like we talked about, splits the regular season championship last year in 2023. Back on the beam here for Western Michigan for the first time, Hannah Milton.
Hannah, the freshman. Again, she leads off on vault and beam. That, as a freshman, is, for lack of better words, crazy. She is consistent. She'll do an aerial into a round off there. Pretty unique series. Gymnasts are required to do an acro series. Macro series consists of 2 or more skills connected, one of those skills being a skill that you are in the air for, you don't put your hands down. Hers being that front aerial part of that series there. Do a front toss there, looked a little bit off, but again, fake it till you make it in gymnastics, especially on beam. If you're about to wobble, sometimes gymnasts like to throw in some dance moves. Finishing it off with that gainer full. Coach Jernigan said that she used to do a round off 1.5 as that beam dismount, but it drove her crazy that she could not stick it. So she relearned a new dismount in one day. And that was that dismount gainer full that you saw right there.
So we head to the floor here for Ball State. They're second in the match behind Kent State. Hannah Ruthberg will get us started with an average of a 9.837.
Floor is such a fun event. Gymnasts really get to show their personalities on floor versus the other events are, a little bit calmer, more technical based. Floor is really an event to let loose and show the judges what you're made of. Gearing up for her first pass here. She'll do a front through to a double tuck. Chest up on that landing. On the floor exercise, unlike the other events, on landings you are allowed to take 1 step. It protects the gymnast's ankles and lower body from injury. Second pass here. Double pike. Good example right there. If you are tumbling backwards, you're allowed to take one step backwards, and it's no deduction. But right there, she was tumbling backwards, and she took a step forward. So that will be a deduction. It's a sign of under rotation. Then again, though, if you are tumbling forwards, you are allowed to take a step forward with no deduction, just not a step backwards. She'll finish it here with a Rudy into a split jump. Beautiful. Very, very solid routine there for the leadoff, Hannah Ruthberg.
Second round competitor in the NCAAs last year, Hannah Ruthberg. Strong start for Ball State on the floor. We'll head back to Western Michigan on the beam with Danny Petrusek. Averaging a 9.594 this year with a season high of a 9.750.
Started off with a wolf turn there. All gymnasts are required to do a full turn of some sort. They can do it however they want. So she chose a pretty difficult way to do a full turn, but she's pretty good at it. So back handspring layout step out there looked a little bit under rotated, but she pulled it off, stayed on the balance beam. Danny was part of the beam squad that broke the record on the balance beam 2 years ago, school record. Danny really knows how to work the beam. She looks really calm and comfortable up there, even though it is only 4 inches wide. Switch leap into a tuck full there. She'll finish her routine off with her dismount right here, a punch front full. And a stuck landing. Solid routine there for Danny.
That's going to turn us back to the floor. Suki Pfister, or Krista Martinez rather, will get us started once again on the floor. At her season and career high, the Tennessee meet, 9.925.
Ball State does have a lot of depth on floor exercise. Lots of girls that can go in there and score pretty high. Start out here with a double tuck, excuse me. Great landing there. One step back, no deduction. Coach said the fun part about this floor lineup is that everyone can score high, and it's a different person every single meet. One person will get a 9 in one meet. The next meet, it'll be a completely different person. So she knows this floor squad is capable of really high scores. Just all need to come together at once.
Take a look at the averages here for Ball State on the floors. 22nd in NCAA, second in the MAC.
She'll do a back 1.5 there, into a half, into a switch jump. Super fun pass right there. Front layout, front full. Looked like she was a little bit twisted up on that landing, but again, she danced out of it and made it work.
So Martinez reps up the second spot there for Ball State. We'll head back over to Western Michigan on the beam. Gigi Sings, junior from Sarasota, Florida. Averaging a 9.600 here with a 9.825 is their season high.
Fun part about the balance beam at home meets is, although there's no music required like the floor exercise, you are allowed to pick your beam song, is what they call it. So Gigi's got some Morgan Wallen going on right now, but definitely an advantage when you're up on the balance beam at a home meet versus, you know, an away meet. beam it's a scary event. Like I said, only 4 inches wide, so having kind of a comfort song playing over the loudspeakers when you're up on the balance beam is definitely an advantage.
Take a look at the averages real quick here for Western Michigan on the beam.
G is only 4'10", small but mighty. They'll start out with a triple series here. 3 acro skills in a row. Back handspring, layout, step out. Solid landing there. Just a slight balance check. Even got a smile out of her after that skill. It's definitely hard to smile on the balance beam. Majority of gymnasts' least favorite event. And the dismount, a gainer pike with a stuck landing. That was a beautiful routine there for Gigi.
Teammates like that one along with her, and we head back to the floor, and Suki Pfister's coming off a very nice vault performance.
Suki is super powerful. First pass here. Front full into a beautiful front pike. Super high leaps right there. Although the tumbling is the highlight of the routines, where the judges take the most deductions from, the leaps on floor exercise and the balance beam are also extremely important. Hitting 180 in those split jumps, getting high enough, getting all the way around on those jumps. Double back there, a little bit under rotated, chest was a little bit down, had to take that step forward. Again, the judges will take off for that step.
Her career high and season high is a 9950, and that was a program record in Tennessee earlier this year.
Ending it there with a double pike. Super high tumbling there for Suki. Good routine. Capable of that really, really big score like you mentioned.
Bring us back to Western Michigan on the beam, and Sarah Moravansky averaging at 9.490 this year. The season high of a 9.8.
She will also start off with a triple series here. Back handspring, layout, step out, beautiful. Another smile on the balance beam. It's a rare sight to see.
She seems to be very excited to be back in action after missing her first meet of her career. It was probably tough on her, and very excited to get back.
Definitely. Getting out of the groove is not easy in gymnastics, so I'm sure it feels great to be back up there. Full turn right there. Sometimes the most scary skill on the balance beam is a full turn because it is so simple. And gymnasts have been doing it since they were probably 5 years old, but that's the scary part. Round off 1.5 dismount and a stuck landing. She is all sticks today. Absolutely gorgeous. Definitely a sigh of relief, I'm sure, after coming back from that little injury she had there. Sure, it feels great to be back.
Typically an all-rounder, not on the floor here this afternoon, Sarah Moravansky, but back to the floor here with Ball State and Megan Teeter. Average of a 9.804 this year.
She's got a fun floor routine, great choreography. Carrying up first pass here. Front layout into a beautiful front Rudy. A little bit out of control there on that landing. Sometimes the floor kind of just bounces you back up if you don't bend your knees enough on those landings. You really have to absorb the landing. Second pass here, double tuck, super high, a little bit over rotated, had to take that shuffle back. You have to keep those feet planted. When you do take that step, if your feet shuffle a little bit, the judges will take off even though that step is allowed.
Take a look at Ball State's averages on the floor here. 4.9234. He's 9. 4.9625.
Capable of that really, really big score. Final pass there for Megan. Great, great routine. Keeping the momentum in the right direction here on floor exercise.
She finished 5th in the second round of the NCAA last year with a 9.9 on floor. So very capable on the floor. Megan Teeter, the 5th year from Ohio. We head back to the bar, or the beam rather, with Amanda Gruber.
She's the consistent queen. Coach Jernigan says her goal is to qualify 2 nationals on the balance beam. Looks like her foot just slipped a little bit right there. She didn't look too unsquare or too, one side to the other, but sometimes just, again, it's 4 inches wide. A pinky toe off the beam can put you off, so beam is all about the details.
Made the list for the 2024 MAC Gymnast to watch, and she advanced to the second round of the NCAAs back in 2022 in Auburn.
Beautiful leap connection right there. Definitely the hardest event to fall on. You do have to get back up there and finish your routine with the thought of that fall in your mind. Takes a lot of perseverance and mental strength to get back up after a fall on balance beam. Round off 1.5 dismount. She did a great job covering up that fall, finishing strong. The rest of this lineup is gonna have to hit in order for the Broncos to drop that fall. But again, that's what college gymnastics is all about. You have your teammates to have your back. If you do have a mistake or do have a fall, they do give you that dropped score.
So that's going to take us back to the floor. Sophomore Zoe Middleton, an all-arounder here for Ball State, averaging a 9.883. Season high of a 9.925.
Zoe's great on this apparatus. Open it up with a huge opened double tuck. Super difficult to do there. A lot of gymnasts grab their knees to kind of speed up that rotation. Zoe did it in an open position. Front layout, front full. Very controlled landing right there. Sometimes it's hard to get the energy up on floor exercise when you're not in your home arena. So it's super helpful with your teammates on the sidelines of the lines on floor. They're doing your routine, hyping you up, giving you pep talks, just to keep the momentum going and the energy up throughout the whole entire 1.5-minute floor routine. Floor is all about endurance. It's really difficult to go out there for 1.5 minutes, do 3 tumbling passes, sometimes 2, dance, keep smiling, keep the crowd engaged for that whole time. It's definitely taxing. Big double pike right there. Controlled landing, chest was up. That should be a huge score for Ball State on floor.
We go from one all-arounder to another all-arounder, and Peyton Murphy on the beam. I'm thinking 9.792 this year. The season high of a 9.875. She's the 2022 champ in the MAC on the beam.
Peyton is so confident and elegant up on the balance beam. Seems like she has different personalities for every single event. You'll see her on floor and she'll be smiling. But up on the balance beam, she is all serious. Back handspring layout, step out, slight bobble there, balance check. Stayed on though. Flutter jump into a ring jump there. Looks like she wanted to do that ring jump the first time. Might have been a little bit off kilter, off balance. So just redid the skill. That's totally okay. Cartwheel, gainer full, slight shuffle back with the feet. That's the exact type of routine you needed though after that fall. Big sigh of relief there when she got off that balance beam. Maybe not the perfect routine that she's used to with a couple balance checks, but again, she stayed on the balance beam and that's the most important part.
Good bounce back for Western Michigan on the beam. Back to the floor here, Victoria Henry. I'm taking 9.867 with a season high of a 9.9. She's hit 3 times in her career, or this season rather.
Pretty close to that line. I couldn't see if the judge lifted that flag up if she went out of bounds or not. Victoria has a very fun routine. Makes lots of eye contact with the people around her. Front layout, front full. She took like 2 steps into that pass and still made it all the way around. That just shows you how powerful of a gymnast she is.
One of the seniors here on this squad and all around her.
Got one more pass here to finish it up. She'll end with a double pike. Huge double pike. Ball State is really rolling here on the floor exercise, making up those couple of tenth differences that they were behind earlier in the competition.
Ball State heading into this one 20 seconds in the nation on the floor. Go back to the beam here. Exhibition Abby Singh, sister of Gigi. She competed last week on the beam.
You see her sister standing right beside her. Beautiful standing layout, step out. Well, it's scary to be up on the balance beam yourself. I can't even imagine watching your sibling being up there, so props to them.
Head coach Penny Jernigan kind of spoke about how she's a freshman on the beam, not too experienced in this apparatus, but has battled for them, especially last week when they needed her.
Yeah, she's definitely worked hard to get her routine ready for competition. Cartwheels, round 1.5 twist. Just a little bit of a step on that landing. All smiles for her though. Every routine is a confidence booster, every routine that you hit. So that was huge for her to build up that confidence.
Ayafala, exhibitionist here for Ball State on the floor. It's a very deep squad here for Ball State, as head coach Jonas Salim spoke about with us a couple days ago.
Starting it off there with a double pike. Beautiful leap combination right there. Second pass right here, front layout, front full. A little bit of a leg separation in that front fall, but a great landing. Got one last and final pass right here. To take a deep breath. Use all the power in your legs that you have left. Double tuck. Slightly under rotated, had to take that step forward, but a very controlled landing nonetheless. Great exhibition routine. Like I said, super important to show your coach that you can step up and do it no matter the circumstances, where you're at. If you're not in the lineup, if you are in the lineup, got to show up when it counts.
Back to the beam, Western Michigan exhibition. Julie Corpage does not have put in an official routine on the beam this year. And head coach Penny Jernigan spoke about how it's her first gymnast from the state of Kansas.
Beautiful triple series right there. 2 back handsprings into a back layout step out. Split jump into a split 3/4, landing sideways on that balance beam. Definitely difficult. You have to spot the end of the balance beam during that skill to make sure you are staying centered. Front full dismount, just a slight hop. Solid routine there for the exhibition spot.
One more exhibition for Ball State. Lindsay Gerard on the floor.
It's really incredible that each team has so many exhibition routines, especially on the floor exercise. Floor exercise is definitely the most taxing on your body. To put it in short terms, it kind of hurts to land. So having all these gymnasts healthy enough to compete floor is definitely an advantage and a bonus for these teams as they head into the postseason.
And Lindsay getting to compete in her home state of Michigan here.
Front layout, front full there. Looks like she has a lot of adrenaline going on right now. Over rotated that one quite a bit. Final pass here. Round off double tuck. A little bit of an over rotation there as well. Again, a lot of adrenaline. Super powerful gymnast though.
That's going to wrap it up here for rotation number 3. You've got a tight one here between Ball State and Western Michigan. As expected, the top 2 programs in the MAC coming into this one. Rotation number 4 coming up here in Kalamazoo. Strong performance on the floor and the beam for both these teams here on ESPN. Look at the starting lineups here for Ball State on the beam. Victoria Henry, Zoe Middleton, the sophomore, Ashley Szymanski, Megan Teeter, another all-arounder, Hannah Ruthberg, another all-arounder, and Grace Sumner, the junior, rounding out the lineup for Ball State. For Western Michigan on the floor, taking a look at the Broncos, Amanda Gruber. Very much experienced senior for the Broncos. DK Roy, the junior. Danny Petrosik, Cassie St. Clair, Peyton Murphy, and Allie Shop. A junior walk-on for the Broncos has been a standout for them on the floor this year. So, Abby, we head into rotation number 4. Should be an exciting one here.
Yeah, for sure. Like we mentioned before, this meet was going to be close no matter what. These teams have really showed up, showed out, brought their best gymnastics. They'll have to finish strong. It's definitely a little bit harder for the Cardinals to finish on the balance beam. More likely for a fall on the balance beam, but we'll see what they can do today.
Let's take a look at the points of emphasis for the balance beam here, Abby.
Yeah, you have to have those dance and acro skills. While it might not seem as important as the connections in your series, it still is important right there as you see those leaps there. Obviously, it is the balance beam. You want to have great balance. You don't want to have any wobbles or balance checks. Those are the biggest deductions on balance beam. Back handspring layout, step out, super slow and controlled there on the landing.
Victoria Henry, the 9.613 average on the beam this year.
Victoria is such a powerful gymnast, but once she gets up on the balance beam, she is super graceful. A one-legged front tosser. That takes a lot of strength to do that off of one foot. Finishing it off, back handspring, 1.5. One step forward, small step. Very, very solid routine. That is exactly what you want from someone in the leadoff spot. Just consistently showing up, hitting those routines. It's so important for a beam lineup.
So we head over to the floor. Amanda Karuber averaging a 9.833. Looking for a bounce back after a fall on the beam last rotation.
Amanda is so solid on the floor exercise. Last home meet, one judge actually gave her a perfect 10, so capable of those big scores. She only does 2 passes in this routine, so she's able to fill her difficulty requirements in 2 passes. Hey, front layout, front Rudy stuck, cold, no steps, didn't even need them. Coach Jernigan says Amanda is such a dedicated gymnast. She's also a 4.0 biomedical sciences student. She will be going to med school after her gymnastics career at Western Michigan. Double tuck. As you see, she did use that mat there for her landing. That is allowed. No deductions there. Just protects your ankles, your knees, your lower body a little bit on those landings. Beautiful leap combination there. Ending with a bang. 2 solid routines, both on balance beam and on the floor exercise for both teams.
You can tell both these teams are feeling the energy of this rotation number 4 when they're right neck and neck for this one. We head back to the beam. Zoe Middleton.
Starting it off with a press handstand there. So much control and strength to do a press handstand. As a gymnast, I couldn't even do a press handstand on the ground. So to do it on the beam in competition every single meet, pretty impressive. Switch leap into a split jump. Hitting those 180-degree leaps right there. She'll do a handspring layout step out as her series. Very, very solid, confident. Pat leap into a side aerial. Again, super confident landings. Showing the judges that she is perfectly squared, no balance checks needed. Finishing it off here after her full turn. Should have full turn into a half turn. Front tuck full dismount, just a little baby hop there. Fantastic. That routine was pretty flawless throughout. Great execution.
So back to the floor. Let's take a look at quickly here, Abby, the points of emphasis on the floor as DK Roy getting ready to go here for Western Michigan.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely want difficulty in those tumbling passes. And floor is all about the presentation. It's all about the dancing. You want to engage the judges, make eye contact with the judges. And then, as every event is, landings are super, super important. DK starting with a huge double pike.
9.767 for average, 9.825 is her season high. That's a career high of a 9.9. She's hit 2 times in her career.
It's so fun to, watch the gymnasts throughout the competition and then see them on floor exercise. Really just let their personality shine through. They get to smile, have fun, dance it out. DK has such powerful tumbling. She's powerful on every single event. DK also only does 2 passes. She's able to get that difficulty in on those 2 passes. She'll do a front through into a double tuck. Held that landing. Barely even needed to take that step back. Another big routine for the Broncos.
We head back to the beam for Ball State. Ashley Szymanski. Take a look at their rankings. 40th in the country, first in the MAC. And Szymanski averaging a 9.531 this year. The 9.8's her season high that she's also has as her career high twice.
Starting off here with her series. Back handspring layout, step out, super controlled. Do a cartwheel there, a little bit of a bobble. All gymnasts need to do forward and backward skills on the balance beam. So she had to add that cartwheel in to get that side requirement. Switch leap, looks like that was supposed to be a connection. Kind of just made up some dance in between, make it look like that's what she was supposed to do. A little bit of a bobble there. It looked like she probably was supposed to do that switch leap into that switch half right there. Get a wink to the judges before she finishes up this routine. She'll do a round off 1.5 dismount. Just one step. Couple of balance checks there, but she did stay on the balance beam, which is ultimately the goal.
I'll take this back over to the floor. Danny Petrosek comes in a 9.845 with a season high of a 9.9, which also is her career high. She's hit 3 times.
Coach Jernigan says her performance value on floor is just impeccable. The judges love her routine. It's just really captivating. Double tuck, very controlled landing. Chest was up. Danny has the perfect gymnast hands. Toes are always pointed. Front full, front layout, dancing right into it. Coach Jernigan says the goal of Danny's full routine is to kind of put you in a trance. Tells a story. Final pass here for Danny. Double pike. Huge double pike. Had to take that shuffle of the feet back. But overall, super controlled and a very, very fun and interesting routine for Danny.
Teammates into it throughout that routine and liking it at the end there. We're really neck and neck here in this final rotation. We go back to the beam with Ball State. Megan Teeter, all around her. Averaging a 9.613 this year with a season high of a 9.850.
Yeah, this meet is back and forth. It's been back and forth between every single routine on every single event. It's the fun part about gymnastics, though. Every routine counts. Every little detail.
Take a look at the average scores here for Ball State on the beam this year. 48.679. Season high of 4.9250.
One of the most daunting things, especially about balance beam, is when you have to wait for the judges to be ready. When you're fully ready, you've done your visualizations, all the prep that you need to do before your routine, but the judges don't salute you. It's definitely a daunting and not the most fun feeling. Starting off there with a front tuck mount, very, very difficult to do. Gearing up here for her series. She'll do a back handspring layout, step out. A little bit of form in the air. Knees were looked a little bit bent, but a very solid landing. Squared up. A little bit of a bobble there. Those are the types of details that these teams need to be focused on. One final skill here, the dismount. Front layout fall and a stuck landing. Doesn't look too pleased with that routine, as she did have a pretty big bobble on that lead pass.
Back to the floor and take a look at the averages real quick here for the Broncos on the floor. 4.9221, season high of a 4.9425, and Cassie St. Clair underway here.
Cassie is so powerful.
After the 9.600, head coach Penny Jernigan calls her a standout on floor.
She did a back 1.5 into a front layout. Well, that was pretty flawless. You just have to wait here for her second pass. She will do an E tumbling pass as her dismounted tumbling pass, her last pass. That gets her 0.3 of bonus to do an E, which is the hardest tumbling pass that you can do, as her last pass. She kind of does it with ease, though. Huge front double pull coming up. Beautiful, so high in the air. It's reliable right there. That was a beautiful routine for Cassie.
Go back to the beam, Hannah Ruthberg has a career high of a 9.9 in the second round of NCAAs last year, and averaging a 9.692 this year with a season high of a 9.875. 2 times this year.
Separation of team scores is getting a little bit more as we see these bobbles from Ball State on the balance beam. Back handspring layout, step out into another back handspring, another one of those triple series. Leaps here, switch leap into a split jump. Gorgeous. See her taking a big deep breath, gearing up for her dismount. Cartwheel into a gainer full and a stuck landing. That is the exact routine they needed there on the balance beam after a couple mistakes, couple wobbles from the previous routines.
So we head to the floor. Peyton Murphy, who has a special routine, kind of represents her career in college gymnastics, starting off light, going to a dark part where she represents when she broke her neck in her career, and then finishing out happy. So it should be a good one to see here as Peyton Murphy's underway.
I love this routine. Front through into a double tuck. She does not do a back handspring, so she just does a front tuck through to a round off double tuck. Great landing there. Like we mentioned earlier in the meet, floor is her event. She is so strong on every single event, but she really just shines on the floor exercise.
Her career high in 9.975 is a program record.
Rudy into a split jump. Coach Jernigan says it's hard for her not to tear up when she watches Peyton on floor. She's been through so much as a gymnast. To come back as an all-arounder, a strong all-arounder nonetheless. She just says it makes her super emotional. She's so proud of her.
Career high of a 9.975 was last year against Eastern Michigan at home.
Final pass here. She'll end it with a round off double pike. Beautiful. Giving the judges a glare down as she finished that last pass. Team shouting for a 10. She's gotten close a couple times. Definitely capable of that big score.
So we go back to the beam with Grace Sumner. Turned in her best performance of the season last week against Central Michigan, entered a score of a 9.9 to win the event. It's also BSU's best individual effort on the beam so far this season as well.
Did her series right there. An aerial into a back handspring definitely looked off square, but she kind of pulled it off. Looked like just a little bit of a wobble, even though she was probably pretty off there. Switch leap into a split jump, her leap connection there. She'll finish it off here with a round off 1.5 dismount. Couple steps there. She did have that hop and then had to take a step forward. Those little details matter.
Back to floor, Allie Shop, the junior walk-on who head coach Penny Jernigan told us she does her own choreography. And has put together some strong performances on the floor this year for the Broncos.
Yeah, Allie is super energetic, gorgeous dancer, very classic lines. Front Rudy into a back layout, step out, super close to the line there, but she stayed in bounds. Second pass here. She only does 2 passes. Ending with a front double full. Beautiful, dancing right out of it. Again, with that 3/10 bonus for ending with an E tumbling pass. Super, super strong performance there for Allie.
That one might have secured Western Michigan with a win there. That wraps it up 1 through 6, but we have a couple exhibitions coming up here for both these squads. As we have Lindsay Fuller on the beam here for Ball State.
Beautiful leap connection to start it off there. Cat leap, Into a side aerial. Beautiful landing there. No bobbles, no wobbles. Full turn, spotting the end of the beam there. Series here, triple series, back handspring, layout, step out. She didn't look too off. Still a smile on her face. Gain her full dismount, step back on the landing. Definitely not the routine she wanted to show coach, but besides that little mess up on her series, looks like a strong gymnast on the balance beam for sure. Long way to go, but she'll get there.
I'll take us back to the floor here for Western Michigan. So we have a hold-up. But Hannah Milton will be in the exhibition spot here for Western Michigan on the floor.
It's like the judges are having to talk over Allie's routine a little bit. Sometimes judges have miscommunications on start values, on skills that they saw, deductions that they saw, so they have to talk it over sometimes just to make sure they're both on the same track, same page. Like I mentioned earlier, the waiting time when you aren't waiting on yourself, but you're waiting on the judges is not the best feeling. So props to her for staying loose and getting ready, even though she was put on a weight by the judges.
This is Hannah Milton, freshman. The lead off for the first two events here for Western Michigan. Rotation number one on the vault. And also on the beam for Western Michigan. So if
Front layout.
rotation number 1 and 3, which leaves the lead off.
This team is locked and loaded with upperclassmen that are super talented. So Hannah making the lineup on 2 events and exhibition on floors is super great. Second pass here for Hannah. Round off double tuck. Great controlled landing. Fantastic routine from the freshman there.
So back to beam. For Ball State.
Super cool mount there.
Delaney McMahon on the exhibition spot.
Switch leap. Beautiful leap connection there, hitting those 180s. Right into her series. Back handspring layout, step out. One-legged standing layout, step out. Very unique skill, super difficult to do. She executed that perfectly. Very unique dance here. Gainer full dismount, slight shuffle back with the feet. That was a great exhibition routine, very strong, loaded with difficulty there.
Oh, one more exhibition here for Western Michigan on floor. Julie Corpage, freshman from Wichita, Kansas.
She was all smiles on the balance beam, so this should be a fun routine. Captivating the crowd here with the music before she gears up for her first pass right here. Double tuck, pretty large step back on the landing there. Switch leap into a switch 1.5. Very difficult leap pass right there. Another pass right here. Rudy into a straddle jump. A Rudy is a front 1.5 twist. Final pass right here. We'll do a front full, front layout, very controlled landing right there. Another solid floor routine for the Broncos, even though that was the exhibition spot.
That depth could pay off for them as they're over the halfway point, so lots of gymnastics left in the season to go. That's going to finish it up for rotation number 4 as we're knotted up here in Kalamazoo waiting on the official results. We'll take a quick break here. We'll come back, we'll get you some highlights, scores from rotation number 4 here in Kalamazoo. You're watching MAC Gymnastics on ESPN+. State also with some good performances on the beam. We roll through that first with Ball State and Western Michigan.
Yeah, for sure. Ball State did have that fall from Ashley, so they were able to get some other good routines, 2.99s in there and 2.98s. Fantastic scores to cover up that fall, so they will be able to drop that 9.2. Over on the floor, again, very solid for Western Michigan on the floor. They are discussing Allie's score currently. Sometimes the judges have to go back into the code of conduct and look at skills and connections and see how much bonus people get. So I think they're talking it over, and we'll see the official results.
Very strong performances from both these teams all afternoon. Let's go to Ball State's highlights from the beam. We're in that final rotation.
That's a beautiful series. Confident up there. Some stuff landings on the dismounts. Beautiful series. Super fun mount there from Megan Teeter. And a stuck landing on the dismount.
We head over to Western Michigan on the floor. Amanda Gruber got us started for the Broncos.
Huge score from her. Huge tumbling all around on the floor for the Broncos. Controlled landings. Exactly what Coach Jernigan wanted to see today. Those controlled, stuck landings. She knows they can do it in practice, so definitely translated to competition here today.
Kate Murphy put together a tremendous score. 9-9. And Allie Shop as well to round it out for the Broncos. Right into the living room there. As they're honoring the alumni here of the Western Michigan Gymnastics program. They're also celebrating 50 years of Western Michigan Gymnastics this year. See head coach Al Sharns or former coach Kathy Beauregard, former AD as well, as we also will take a look at the all-around results here from today's meets. And Zoe Middleton will take it home with a 3.9375 right ahead of Peyton Murphy, the only all-arounder for the Broncos. What did you see, Abby, from that group here today?
Yeah, lots of very strong all-arounders in the competition today. It's really hard to be an all-arounder in college gymnastics. In compared to USAG gymnastics, where they came from in high school, you don't have as many meets. Sometimes college gymnasts, they have 2 meets a weekend, which is a lot more than what you're used to coming out of high school. So all of these girls, super talented. They're able to stay injury-free and compete on all 4 events. It's super impressive, and the all-arounders really showed out today.
See it, all the alumni getting honored here in between the award ceremony here and the end of rotation number 4. Take a look as we have some time here, Abby, to look through the criteria of the judging here. Starting with the vaults, points of emphasis.
Yeah, for sure. Like we mentioned, they are discussing some scores right now. So as the score is tied right now, these are the things that the judges are looking for when they are reviewing these scores. On the vault, that start value. You want a 10.0 start value. If you have a 10.0 start value, you get that extra 0.05 on your score. So if you do have a couple deductions, that covers it up just a little bit. The execution, so in the air, you want a straight body, pointed toes, straight legs. You want your legs to be together. That's really important. Even though we get to see it sometimes in slow motion, the judges don't see it. So if there are little mistakes, it's kind of hard to catch on vault, but big execution mistakes are definitely obvious on vault. And then obviously, as is on every single event, the landing is so important. That's the last thing the judges see. So, if you take a huge step, the rest of your routine is really good. That's the last thing they remember. So they're more likely to take off on the landing there.
And rolling through the rest of them here on the bars.
Yeah, bars, handstands, and dismount landings are the key here. You have to have a release that is required in college gymnastics to get that 10.0 start value. But where the difference in scores really come are the handstands. You want to hit those handstands perfectly vertical, and you want to stick those landings. We saw a lot of stuck landings from both teams today, especially on an even bars, so that definitely helped get that team score up for sure.
Balance beam as well in rotation number 3.
Balance beam, there's a lot of things that go into balance beam and floor exercise because they are longer events. You are on the apparatus for longer than you are on, per se, a vault or a bar routine. So the judges have a lot more to look for. They want to look at those dance and acro skills, the connections, your series. That is most of the times the scariest and the hardest skill you have in your balance beam routine. And then obviously you want to stay on balance. You don't want wobbles. You don't want balance checks. As soon as you drop your shoulders or you swing your arms or you lift one of your legs up, that's a balance check or a wobble, and the judges will take off for that.
Finally there on the floor.
And the floor, yes, we have the difficulty, which is honestly the difficulty on floor is probably the hardest difficulty requirement to hit. You can either do 3 passes or 2 passes, but the difficulty of your floor passes has to add up to the required difficulty for each routine. So whether you get that difficulty in just 2 passes or 3 passes, each gymnast does it differently. The presentation, so the dance, making eye contact, the having fun and showing your true self, that's super important on the floor exercise. And honestly, the scores really differ on if you are performing your floor routine. And again, back to the landings, you want to land your floor passes with just 1 step back for back tumbling or 1 step forward on front tumbling, and a controlled chest up landing. That's the key on every single event, but definitely on the floor.
We're waiting here for the award ceremony here between Ball State and Western Michigan. As the scores are coming in, doesn't look like we're going to end in a tie. Looks like Western Michigan's going to take it home. 196-025 with Ball State 195-950. As we'll turn it over to the public address announcer, Claude Little.
With scores of 9.825 in third. From the Broncos, Hallie Faulkner. And from the Broncos, Abby Singh. In second place with scores of 9.825. For your Broncos, Hannah Milton. For the Cardinals, Hannah Ruthberg. Also for the Cardinals, Suki Pfister. And in first place with a score of 9.900, your Broncos, Sarah Morvansky. Individual results on bars with scores of 9.750. In third place, your Broncos, DK Roy. Your Broncos, Danny Petrusic. And your Broncos, Sarah Morvansky. In second place with a score of 9.800, your Bronco, Abby Singh. And in first place with a tie with scores of 9.825 from Ball State, Ashley Samansky. And from Ball State, Zoe Middleton. Individual results on B. In third place with a score of 9.825, your Broncos, Gigi Singh. In second place with a score of 9.850 from the Broncos, Sarah Morvansky. And in first place with a tie with a score of 9.900 from Ball State, Hannah Ruthberg. Also from Ball State, Zoe Middleton. Individual results on floor. In third place, a tie with scores of 9.850 from the Broncos, Allie Shaw. And for your Broncos, Donna DK Roy. In second place with a score of 9.875, your Bronco, Cassie St. Clair.